Again, the entire writings, every one of them claims that our function is not to improve humanhood. And yet, judging from what you hear from your students when they ask for help, how many are not trying to change human conditions? And that's how many are missing the mark. Because our ministry has nothing to do with changing human conditions. We have discovered a great mystery, that there is a my kingdom and there is a this world, and that my kingdom is not of this world. And we are probably the only teaching that has revealed that as a major principle. Therefore, and this is a follow-up to the nature of God. The nature of God is not to mend your broken bones or to go out and get you dollars or go out and get you automobiles or to kill your enemies for you. This is not the nature of God or the function of God. As a matter of fact, whatever the nature and function of God is already. So it has nothing to do with you. Your function is to leave this world that immediately sets up a whole new world to an individual. How do you leave this world? How do you stop taking thought for this world? For what you shall eat, what you shall drink, wherewithal you shall be clothed. How can you do this? Yes, but that's not the question. The question is you must do this. How you do it may be an individual experience with you. We can give you some of the aids. I can tell my own processes of arriving at whatever stage of it I've arrived at. But I can't be sure that those are the ways that will lead you to it. But I can tell you beyond all question of doubt that as long as you are taking thought for what you shall eat or what you shall drink or wherewithal you shall be clothed, you are not in the Christ ministry, nor are you following the message of the infinite way. Well, this is so startling. It's even shocking as I sit here and voice it, because it pulls the foundation out from every student. It leaves them nothing to stand on. And that's its intent. He hangeth the earth on nothing. And if you have a single thought in your mind, you're going to cling to the thought. Any concept of God, any concept of what you expect of God, any concept of the fruitage that you're looking for, stands in the way of God demonstration. Because it is not given to man to know the way of God. It is not given to man to know the will of God. Do not forget that ever since the minute we were born, we have been thwarting the will of God. We have been doing everything our parents told us, everything our teachers told us, everything society told us, everything that good manners told us, and in not 1 second did we turn to say, God, haven't you got something to say about all of this, how my life should be lived? After all, you authored my life. Have you nothing to say about its mode or manner of living? And then you would find that even if your parents wanted you to be a bookkeeper, that eventually you'd be what God intended you to be. Or instead of having your wish fulfilled of this moment, you may find that God's will is something entirely different. But you will never know God's will while you hold a thought or a concept in your mind when you go to God. That is why a great Hindu teacher said, "Why do you do healing work? To give them just a painless body so that they can go on and knit booties for their grandchildren? Is that what the power of God is meant to do?" Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. And too many of our letters are, "Thank you for this healing. Now I can go back and take care of my grandchildren, and now I can go and look for a job, and now," without a single thought that this miracle of grace might have some further meaning. But the mind was only on that one thing, attaining the object of health, supply, companionship, or whatever. Now, it is for this reason that throughout the writings it says, our function is not to improve humanhood. It is not to get you an ideal companion or an ideal home. It is not just to make your body physically well. Well, this must be conveyed to the student, because the student could read my writings for 10 years and never discover those lines in them, unless they themselves were already fed up with human good today and human lack tomorrow. But for the most part, that is a function of the teacher, so that they impart to the student, when you sit down to pray or to meditate, watch that you go to God completely pure. Watch that you don't have outlined in your thought what you want God to do now that you're going to God, what result you want, what fruitage, because you stand in God's way. You stand in your own way of receiving God. When you pray, you must have no concept in your mind at all as to what you desire. Even if you have a sick patient or a crippled patient or a blind patient, you have no right to want the opposite. Your function is to desire Christ realization, that the Spirit of the Lord God may be upon me and through me produce its mighty works. What mighty works? I don't know what mighty works. I don't know what mighty works. I know that in some measure it will appear as improved health, improved supply, improved companionship. I know that. But that is not the fruitage of our work. That is the added things. The fruitage of our work is the realization of the transcendental presence and power, the awareness that we live not by might but by grace. That's the fruitage of prayer and meditation. I live, yet not I. Christ liveth in me. This is not a prayer for something. This is a statement of what happens after prayer. This is the fruitage of prayer. That now I do not have to take thought for my life, because Christ liveth my life.